Hello everybody, welcome back to the 5-Star Potential Podcast Social. We're on to episode and day 13 of your daily lockdown podcast. Hope you're keeping well and safe, and hoping for another fantastic podcast today with our special guest. But to kick off, alongside me today we've got Joe, Friday Night FM. Joe, how you keeping, man?
All good, mate. All good. Busy Monday. Had zero motivation this morning. Actually was having quite a tough one this morning. And yeah,
got through it.
Got myself out, and I feel a lot better this afternoon after getting out and doing some work.
Good man, good man. Dupe, how you keeping?
Honestly,
yeah.
I phoned every camera place in the tri-state area.
Why?
And everyone's fucking shut.
Why?
No one can help me. This one bloke said, "Oh, come and drop it off to me," and then piss off and come back a week later. And it's just not good, Dave. And I got what?
Why is that?
This is maybe a feel-good podcast. You're making me feel bad, Joe.
I just wondered why you.
My camera broke, Joe. Do you not
you
know? Can you not see with this?
You haven't mentioned it.
No? Okay. I've literally got a USB stick plugged into a fucking potato, as somebody put on the podcast comments the other day. And I got an audit tomorrow. And, yeah, it's going to be great fun. So, yeah, I'm in a great mood, Dave.
I do feel for you. And our special guest today, we've got Mr. OmegaLuke. Luke, how's it going, man?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much for having me on, guys.
No problem at all. Obviously, like you said earlier on, you sort of listened to a couple of them, so you get the gist of what we're going to talk about and the structure of them and so on as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had, obviously, I know looking at your Twitter and stuff, you're doing things outside of Football Manager and YouTube that we could talk about today. But obviously, lockdown announced a couple of weekends ago. What was your sort of immediate reaction when Boris Johnson announced that lockdown for everyone?
I was kind of gutted, really. The first lockdown was a bit of a blessing in disguise because I had a baby 2 days before. So it was like
painful.
Yeah, so yeah, to be honest, Joe. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I was given a lot of time off because nobody really knew what was going to go on. I was furloughed for 12 weeks, so I was able to spend a lot of time with the family. But this one, we sort of got back into a nice little routine, didn't we, in life? And then we were getting used to still social distancing and everything like that. And you know, I do wrestling as like a spare time thing, and been getting really into that. And then that's kind of been like taken away, and that's kind of like my release. So you go to work, I do all the YouTube stuff, and come home and have some time with the family, and then I can go away and see my wrestling friends and run around the ring for a little bit. And that's kind of like my exercise, which, as we know, is all really important for mental health. So that's been called off for the time being. So yeah, quite gutted about that.
What? So when did you start the wrestling? Is that a recent thing, or has that been a couple of years, or?
So I played football throughout my life, and then like last year, I started like not really enjoying football whatsoever, and I was always as friendly with the company who I started wrestling with, because I used to do a wrestling podcast and a wrestling YouTube channel. So I knew them all. And then when I was like complaining about football all the time, he was like, "Oh, you should come to us and train and try wrestling training, see if you fancy it." And I gave it a go. I think it was last October. And I haven't looked back since, and I've not missed football one bit. I find it really weird as well, because football is always like it's a team sport, and like the whole point of football as a team is you're all aiming to win the game. Whereas I always found that everyone was just always arguing. Whereas at wrestling, it's a really individual sport. Like you're all competing for that one top spot of winning the title or whatever. And yet everyone is so friendly, and like you all work as a team. And I find it really bizarre how that's the case. So yeah, been doing it for about a year now.
And
I have so many questions. I don't know where to start.
Go on, dude.
Fire away.
Okay, let's do a little quick fire. We do this at the end, but what's your
Favourite
stage
position? Oh.
name? I was going to build up to that one. What's your stage name?
So they basically want to keep me as OmegaLuke.
Okay, what's your ring walk music?
We haven't got that yet. Mainly because
if you had to.
It's on you. If I had to.
Because we can make suggestions right now.
I'm up for suggestions because I haven't thought about it.
Hang on. Okay. I want it that way. I reckon you should go with that. That'd be quite a good one. Or
that's
another
quite
one
good.
would be smack my bitch
That's
out. As you walk, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a good one. All of Me would be a good one by John Legend.
Yeah.
Just because that's your wife's
very-
favourite.
Very
a
slow
terrible
song
ring
to
walk.
come out to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that normally gets me to the ring. That's what that's what I meant.
Seven Nation Army. What about that one?
Yeah, that'd be
I
good.
like
That's
that one.
fair.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very Anthony Joshua though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sweet Clap
Yeah.
Caroline.
Sweet Caroline, that's not bad actually. There's a wrestler who wrestles with us who uses Sweet Caroline every now and then.
Come on, Eileen.
I mean, it's up to her if she would let me, but yeah.
Okay.
Take on me.
So, yeah.
Okay,
Terrible.
I like it. We'll come back with some more.
This sounds like a 50-year-old's birthday party playlist.
Yeah.
What's your finishing move?
So
Over a
it's
chest.
hard to just.
Yeah, tits and face, basically.
Yeah. Poor Eileen, she's getting it really bad today. It's kind of hard to describe, really. It's more you have to show it. It's called the Sunset Subscribe, but it's kind of like I hook them here and flip over.
I've seen
Okay.
it. I watched the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
I watched the day.
Yeah,
quite
Thank
like
you,
you.
mate, yeah.
Can you show us?
Well, not right. I ain't got anyone here.
Use the chair.
to do it.
You
Yeah.
said you had a kid, right?
It's true. True. Yeah.
Okay. And you've how many times have you had a fight?
Twice now.
Twice. And you won
Yeah,
twice.
just 2 matches. I can't say one result, but I have won one.
You wouldn't-
Oh,
Yeah, the,
wouldn't
the
the
second
debut.
one hasn't come out yet. Yeah, on my
Okay.
debut.
How long does
Okay.
it take you to read a
Yeah.
script?
Oh, it's quite weird to be honest because you plan a match out.
Hey, it's
and
real.
then
It's just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
results decided.
So I've always been prepared for this. I always call it like a violent soap opera because it's scripted. Everyone knows you know the
But it's
outcome of
real.
it.
Yeah.
But it fucking hurts. It genuinely
It does.
does hurt. There's a lot of things that you do which, when you go to do it, when you watch it on telly, you're like, that's easy, and then you go to do it and you're like, oh, actually, I don't know whether I can do it.
Are we talking about wrestling or porn now?
Well, that's down to you, dude. Really,
Okay.
I'm
I can see you
open
in
for
both,
both
to be honest, mate.
conversations. That's
See,
a
Oh, you're in
compliment.
both.
I was always a big Jeff.
I'd last
Hardy fan.
longer in the wrestling, to be honest, though, dude. I think.
If you don't know, Luke used to drive a taxi, or a fake one, let's put it that way. Until he jumped on a bonnet and broke his
Yeah.
leg.
Former name was John.
You know.
John.
Good old John.
I'll come back to some more wrestling. I'm not the biggest wrestling fan, Luke.
That's fine, mate.
I appreciate what you do. Fair play to you. My last experience of wrestling was you're gonna have to help me out here, Joe. We did the 48-hour stream, and then we did some alternative commentary for Curtie during the Royal Rumble, wasn't it?
I think it was a Royal Rumble.
I
January,
think
yeah.
it was.
Was it January?
Yeah.
February.
I think it was.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was Royal
Yeah.
Rumble.
Royal Rumble's January,
Yeah.
and then February.
That's
Is
January.
that, is that when Edge come back?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, that was what we watched.
Yeah. So yeah.
Some old
That was-
geezer with long hair come back, and everyone went mental.
Curtie was like asleep. I had literally stayed up for 48 hours. I slept for 4, and I woke back up, watched the football, and then went all the way back through from 12 in the morning to 4 in the morning to watch this.
Smashed it.
And Curtie was asleep. And me
Did
and
you
Joe were
enjoy
just
it,
sat
though?
there laughing at each other.
Did
no,
you
it
enjoy
was
it?
fucking dreadful, mate.
What a liar!
No, to be fair, I
Yeah.
did, and I went for a little stage at that time. Like I was watching YouTube videos of like the old, where they're in the old fucking things with the little pots. Oh, what they called?
Oh, Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber.
Oh, yeah.
I used to play the games when I was a kid.
The games
The
were
old
like
school
back
stuff's
in the
better.
day, yeah.
And I used to like
Yeah.
watching it when I was a kid, but then I grew up.
The
Yeah.
Attitude Era was the best era.
Attitude Era is class, yeah. I love watching it back.
But yeah,
So good.
Definitely. I have to admit, I've watched your video.
Yeah.
You reckon you
It
could
looks
beat him?
like it's probably not. Probably not. If we were to box, maybe, but all that fancy dancy like cuddling and that, I'm not into that.
You were such a liar.
You'd be good at it, dude. You'd be good at
Loves
it.
a cuddle.
No, I'm
'Cause you can smack talk.
I
That's
can
a big
smack
part
talk,
of
but
it.
I can also back
Yeah.
it up, Luke.
Oh.
I'm the under 14s.
He's got a bit of Paul Bearer about him, though, hasn't he?
Another one that just used to walk in with the urn. Okay.
Oh yes.
I thought I was a white Rikishi, to be honest.
Who's your one ECW little ponytail?
Blue Meanie, the one who used to dye his hair
Brock
blue.
Lesnar's.
Oh, Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Paul Heyman as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Finished, Dave?
Yeah, I'll finish, mate.
Okay. Good
I'd assume,
All right.
Luke, then you've been following wrestling since you were young. It's not a recent thing.
Yeah, in and out, really. I got back into it. Funny enough, I didn't watch like any WWE since I've got back into it. I started watching like Japanese stuff. That's how I got back into it to actually
Is it
start.
Pixelated.
My word.
Oh,
Okay, well, I'm
Delete
just gonna
that.
say this now. This is the last one I'm on. I'm not going on another one now. Me and Joe, we can't go on any together.
I don't even know what you're on about.
Sorry?
I don't even know what you mean. I don't get the joke.
I'll
yeah,
explain it
that
later.
chestnut.
All right.
Ask your old man. Hello. Okay, no, like wrestling. So yeah, great, brilliant.
Japanese.
Yeah, so I started watching Japanese stuff. Got back into it that way. It's like a lot more like brutal than there's like stages really where it's like really hokey, and then stages where it's like that legitimately could be real. And Japanese stuff is probably like the closest you will get to being real stuff, because a lot of it's like shoot wrestling, which is basically they're just trying to chin each other, but there's an outcome at the end. So they'll be like, we'll legitimately fight for a little bit, and then we'll fight. We'll get to the finish, which is actually planned.
I read Mick Foley's book like years ago when the whole rock and sock thing was going on, and he talked about Japanese wrestling, and like they would literally just make him bleed every time. Like the ropes were made of barbed wire and stuff. Like it was properly savage compared to the kind of traditional American wrestling.
And
so yeah,
because
I can
like
see the appeal.
Yeah, because he was like a hardcore legend, really. He was booked in Japan a lot. They loved him over there. Same as Vader, because him and Vader had like a big rivalry in like late 80s, 90s. So they would both get booked in Japan for like extortionate amount of money just to have like a really legitimate fight where they just kick the crap out of each other. So yeah, there's big over there.
So what? Like, I'm going to be a little bit naive here, and I appreciate this is probably not what we want to talk about. We're going to go down this route. So as much as you're saying there is a storyline, so to speak, with the fight itself.
Yeah.
So do you have certain moves that you've got to get in as the storyline would dictate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens if, let's just say, you do one of these moves? You're meant to lose a fight, but you do one of these moves, and by doing the move, you knock the other kiddie out. Like, I don't know, it's a suplex and it lands wrong and he's knocked out. Do you just then improvise and then you just do the pinfall, or is it kind of like, oh, I've got to pretend I'm dead for 6 hours now whilst we wait?
There's a few things really that you can do. It all depends on the situation, to be honest. But like, if their guy is legitimately injured, then usually the match will just stop and they'll bring out like some kind of first aid or stuff like that. But there's sometimes where like people have been knocked out and they'll just the person who's knocked them out will buy time. So if they're like a bad guy, they'll start arguing with the referee, or they'll start shit talking the crowd. So while they're doing that, the referee will try and wake them up. Or if it's a good guy, they'll go out and like start cheering to the crowd and stuff. So the bad guy has an opportunity to be woken up from being like knocked out, legitimately knocked out. So yeah, so a lot of the time, like especially like Attitude Era, they'll get serious concussions, but they'll carry on the match because they're literally like hitting each other on the head with steel chairs, which they're not allowed to do anymore because of concussions and stuff. But yeah, I haven't seen it in like our standard. We've had like a couple of injuries, like the recordings that we did a couple of weeks ago, because when the lockdown happened, we recorded on 2 nights, 4 full shows on the Tuesday and Wednesday before the Thursday lockdown to get it in before the lockdown. And they had a guy who did a drop kick off the top rope, and he fell down and broke his wrist.
Oh man!
So they've had to just stop that.
I saw one. This was probably close to the end of the last time I used to watch WWE, because Chris Jericho and Neville were both still in it, and I think there was a match that Neville was meant to beat Chris Jericho in and injured himself. So Chris Jericho just pushed the referee and got disqualified. So Neville still got the win for it as well. So there's just little things like that.
Yeah, and like when Stone Cold broke his neck, he was supposed to win the match, and he could barely lift his body. And what they basically did is have Owen Hart turn around, and then he just literally grabbed him and rolled him up, which was obviously never supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But it was the only thing. And if you watch that clip back, it's horrendous, and you can see he can barely move. And it's the worst roll-up ever, but they still finished the match, and that's kind of unbelievable.
So what's the long-term plan? Is it just a hobby at the moment, or have you started in for, actually, you know what, I could take this a little bit more seriously?
He's off to Japan next week.
Yeah, I've been booked in Japan. No, it is just a hobby. Like a few people have said, like, oh, there's a lot of places now in NXT UK or whatever. Would you be interested? Nah, not. One, I know I'm never good enough. Like I'm more of like a character than a wrestler, and you'd have to be really good wrestler to go any further. And two, I don't really have the aspirations to do all the traveling stuff. I always said, like, this is more of like a hobby because I enjoy it and I've come to love doing it. If I ever just like have a few matches locally, that's I'm happy with. I'm fine with that. Like I've had a couple of matches. We've had like 6 people in the crowd for one because it was a socially distanced match with those 6 fans were just like trainees, and then the other match I had no fans, which was awful to wrestling because you got nothing to go off because everything's reaction fed. So when Duke said earlier, is it all planned and stuff? You plan certain spots, but in between that, you just fill it with like punches and kicks, and the bad guy just being an idiot to the fans and to the good guy. So you fill that with whatever you can, and then you get to the certain spots. But the bits that you fill in the middle is all down to how the crowd reacts. If the crowd starts clapping, that means they want the good guy to get back. Yeah. So you should have what they call a hope spot. The good guy starts coming back, kind of thing. So it's all crowd based. When you don't have a crowd, it's even harder. Yeah.
Well, good wrestling chat.
Sounds like we're gonna do a little FM community down at Plymouth soon, then.
Yeah,
that'd be good. Are you looking forward to the crowd being back though?
Oh, I can't wait because I want to have like my friends and family there in the crowd. Like all of my friends are wrestling fans, which is one of the main reasons why I got into it to begin with. Come back to wrestling, and they all started with me, and I'm the only one who actually continued doing the training. So it'd be nice to, when I eventually allowed to have a match in front of a crowd, for them all to be there. Because I was supposed to make my debut before the lockdown happened in May or July, and I was definitely booked for the July show, and they had already sold 600 tickets for it.
Wow!
And all of my friends and family were all going, and then obviously lockdown happened and it got cancelled.
That's mad.
So
600 people is a lot of people, man. That is
if you think about it, I went from going in front of 600 people to 6 people. So that's how drastically it changed.
Wow.
So I was gutted, really.
So going back to sort of lockdown 1, obviously you had your little one born. Was literally all your time spent with him, or did you have time to chill out, learn any new skills, or what was it really you were up to in lockdown 1?
So yeah, a lot of it was based around the baby. Of course, me and the wife were just trying to get like into some kind of routine and spend some time with him. Obviously, we weren't allowed to see our family for a long time, and that was hard because he was born on the Saturday, so all of our family seen him on the Saturday. But then Monday, it was like, well, you can't see him anymore, and I was kind of like, we shouldn't really be doing this because at the end of the day, the early days are the best part of. That's when the grandparents really want to see the baby all the time and stuff. And he grew so much by the time that they had seen him, it was ridiculous. So a lot of the time was just spent making videos. At the time, I was still at FM Scout and doing my own stuff. So I kind of started looking into Twitch more because I'd only ever streamed on YouTube before, and I never really looked into Twitch that much. So I spent a few weeks doing videos as well as watching a lot of Twitch and watching a lot of not just FM guys, but everyone to see if like what I can pick up, and then YouTube like stuff that I need to learn and stuff like that, or Photoshop as well. I learned a lot about Photoshop because it wasn't a lot to do really. When the baby was asleep, there wasn't a lot to do, just sitting around. So yeah, while I was furloughed.
I think Photoshop tutorials are like the one, man. They're so underrated. Like, that's
you get lost in them.
Yeah. Just tutorials. Even watching someone else make a thumbnail, like the skills you learn off that is crazy. And just getting inspiration off different people's styles and so on as well. And I think like looking at your channel as well, you've sort of got your template now, and like you see a video like, oh, that's one of Luke's videos. I think you've sort of nailed that down straight away anyway. So
yeah, absolutely. I think like you say, people have some kind of style that they're good at. I like to keep things in like similar, so it, like you mentioned, if the video comes up, that it could be one of mine because it kind of looks that same style. If you feel like that's the style that you like and what you think you're good at, what you're best at, then it's good to keep it all together, I suppose. So yeah,
100%. And like you said, with friends and family, like how have you coped with that since we had that little pocket in between 2 lockdowns where you could sort of see people? Did you take full advantage of that, seeing your parents and family and whatnot again?
Yeah, 100%. I'm quite lucky they live really close. So my dad was also on the vulnerable list, so he was off until August.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent when we were allowed to, we spent every Friday down there. We still see him during the week as well, and so it was nice for them to spend a lot more time with the baby and stuff. And then it's kind of been now it's stripping away from them, but luckily they've got the rule where childcare, they can still look after him. So for a couple of days already, because my dad's furloughed again, because he's vulnerable, we've been taking him down there and they'll look after him for a day. So they're still enjoying spending time with him, with the baby and stuff. So I'm more pleased with that than anything that they're still able to do that. Else I think I just end up having to break the rules, because at the end of the day, my dad is at home furloughed. They're not doing anything. Like me passing my baby down to them so they can see him, I'd rather just do that.
I think a lot of people are in that situation, like Joe said on one of the other podcasts with his little one as well.
Yeah.
Was it with your nan, Joe?
What's that?
With the baby and your nan not being able to see.
Yeah, she still hasn't seen.
Yeah.
She's a month old tomorrow and she still hasn't had a chance to see her yet.
Yeah, I think my nan finally seen my son about 3 weeks ago, and he was born in March. So it was a long time. Long time.
Crazy times. And obviously with these podcasts, we're trying to sort of get people to talk out, speak out a little bit more. We're trying to make people aware that we're there for them and so on. And with mental health, obviously you're doing your wrestling, I think that takes up a lot of time and I suppose can help with that sort of side of things. Have you ever sort of had the need to reach out? Would you be able to reach out, do you think, if you were sort of struggling?
Yeah, I'm quite lucky. I've had a lot of dark days, and I've the one thing that I've always been really sure with is that if there's someone I need to speak to, there is someone. Always. I can speak to my mum and dad about it, and I have done, and my wife is really understanding with that situation as well. And even distant friends, I find going to distant friends better than going to my close friends, even though my close friends have all suffered with depression stuff, so they kind of know.
Yeah.
I find speaking to people who you don't really speak to all the time, so they don't really know everything about you, is the best way. And I find that's been really helpful in the past, especially like we mentioned the wrestling. There's been a few people who I've grown close to in wrestling, and I've spoke to, and they've spoke to me if they've had troubles and stuff, and confide in each other. I think that definitely helps. So I'm lucky in that regards, definitely.
Good. It's always good to have that close almost network of people that you can always trust to go to, like your parents, your wife as well.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think, like you say, someone else mentioned that about the close friends, because they almost are going to tell you what you want to hear sometimes, and not the honest truth. So I think with the more distant friends like you've got there as well, I think that's always good to have.
I agree, definitely, for those reasons, for sure.
To move on to a little bit of a lighter note, we always ask our guests things about their interests, their hobbies, and what they do outside of the world of YouTube and Football Manager and so on. We all start with books. Are you a big book reader?
Not a big book reader, but I've read a few. Yeah.
Small books.
Small books. Small books.
What would be your recommendations, or what's one of your favourite books?
So actual books, I've read Ready Player One. They did a really good film on that recently, Steven Spielberg. I read that before the film was even announced. So when the film was announced and it was Spielberg, I was buzzing for it. I've read Ernest. The author's called Ernest Cline. I read his other book called Armada. Really enjoyed that one as well. But I'm a self-confessed geek because I have a huge comic book collection.
All right, okay.
Nice.
So Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I collected comics for the last 5 or 6 years now. Big superhero nerd, and I started collecting like the big omnibuses, which are like 40 issues put together, as well as like the singles. So there's a few like Batmans and Spider-Mans and stuff are my favourites, and a few like indie ones which you might never have heard of, because unless you were a big comic book fan, even normal comic book fans probably haven't heard of some of them. They're that obscure. But I like those kind of reads more than actual books. Maybe because it's got pictures in.
Dupe likes this.
Easier to read.
Yeah.
Porn mags is it, Dupe? Exactly.
Oh, he's got it. If you could have if you were a superhero, what would your power be?
Oh, Flash, super speed.
Speed.
Gotta be
Dupe,
super
same
speed.
as Dupe.
So that's my sex tape, that is.
Yeah.
If I could have any, that's a good question actually. To be fair, because there's a lot of perks to a lot of it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I probably would. I'd ask for 3 more wishes. Shit, different question. I think invisibility would be good. I'd quite like to sneak about.
I feel like I'd be really clumsy though. Like I'd be invisible, but I'd be so loud because I'd be knocking everything over.
Right,
you know, like you come home drunk and you're just like trying to be quiet, but then you're even more loud. I think if I was invisible,
quite a few people have said they've watched The Boys when they've been on this pod. Yeah, and you know, obviously the translucent.
Yeah.
The character that would be Dupe.
Yeah,
he just spends 100%. All his time in the women's toilets.
Yeah.
And the blokes. I mean, I wouldn't say that, to be fair.
I mean,
it doesn't end well for translucent either.
No spoilers, but how he gets killed is brilliant.
Unreal, yeah.
I think flying would be good though. Like you could just go, and I'm assuming it's effortless as well. It's not like you're having to walk or run, so you don't kind of lose any energy doing it. I think flying would be good.
I think as well the super speed, because like the Flash can literally go back in time. Like how awesome would that be? Like go back in time, go forward in time, have a little play around.
Yeah, that's what I'd want to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go forward or back in time.
It's kind of like it gives you the option to do more.
Yeah. I guess to be fair, you wouldn't have wasted so much time at Scout if you could have gone back in time. Right?
Exactly that.
I
would never have joined in the first place if I'd seen what the outcome was.
Exactly that, yeah. A bit like us and Wishum FM, mate. It would never have happened if we knew how Catholic calls us.
Dave only wants it so that he can see how the FPL's getting on at the weekend.
Yeah, how to not bottle a final on Football Manager or something like that, you know.
Oh, did you lose?
Yeah.
To a FIFA player.
If Dave could go back in time, he could legitimately save and reload and not actually save and reload.
It would literally be his life.
Yeah,
but he would be able to do it and nobody would be able to call him out on it.
Yeah.
Never a thing.
Never a thing. I love the way we just always just pissing each other off here.
Yeah.
Joe, what would your superpower be?
Not sure. I mean, Superman is the one, isn't it? But it's just the green shit that's, you know, doesn't like the old kryptonite.
What would be your kryptonite?
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. What would be your kryptonite, Joe?
If I was Superman, probably kryptonite.
Good one.
No, that is. I mean, he's called Superman. He's he's the original, isn't he? He's the man.
Are you?
Who would? I'd like to be Batman. Batman's got the cool car.
He is cool as fuck.
And he's got Robin.
Yeah, but
can he be your Robin?
Other than his car, can Batman actually do anything? Like, he ain't got no special powers.
He's a vigilante, isn't he? He's a vigilante.
He's stupidly intelligent.
He's also, hasn't he got like lots and lots of money?
Yeah, he's rich as fuck. Yeah.
I mean,
but he also had his parents killed in front of him, so it's peaks and troughs, isn't it? It really is.
You win some, you lose some.
You obviously not met my parents, have you? Who else? Spider-Man's pretty cool, but then you've had to have the old you've had to be bitten. I think Spider-Man's pretty cool just for the upside down kiss, to be honest.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
She's quite fit.
But then if you actually go by Mary Jane. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
you're thinking about the actual pass.
Comic book. We're going to a comic book nerd here.
I was going to say, if you actually go by his comic book story, he actually kills one of his girlfriends accidentally. So.
Oh my god! Literally, Dave. This is about you, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
The only problem is I'd be walking down the street and that would come out too quick as well, and I'd prematurely just ejaculate. That's shit. I think that's probably it. I can't think of any other superheroes, to be honest.
Have you got any like rare comics you reckon that is worth a bit of money?
Dave's case in the joint.
Yeah, I've got a couple which I've also got a couple where I've bought them and then I forgot that I had got them, so I got them the next week because I used to collect so many at one go, and then it turns out that they turned out to be really expensive, and I'd thrown both of them away.
No.
So I bought them for £3, and they were worth £150 each.
Wow.
Within like 8 months of it coming out, and I'd thrown both of them away, so that's annoying. But yeah, I've got a couple which are quite expensive. I've got a couple of like the big omnibuses which are still sealed, mainly because I bought them when they first come out for really cheap, and like I look on eBay and they're worth like £200 now.
Wow.
So I don't know, and it's annoying because I want to read that story. I bought it to read it, and then like
typical reseller.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, we're supposed to move house like a year and a half ago. So I've had all of my comic books boxed up for over a year and a half, and they've all been boxed up. And I'm just watching this price rise. And I'm like, oh, I wanted to read that, so I don't know what to do now. Tricky situation.
I'm sure you can just download them off the internet, read them, and then just don't.
Yeah,
they're not the actual comic book, right?
Yeah, I've tried reading it on like an iPad, and it's just never the same. It's never the same.
Get a printer, print it out.
Yeah.
What printer here?
Dave's got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. What was the first one you mentioned that Spielberg had made a movie on? What was that one?
Ready Player One.
Yeah. What's that about then?
It's a great film. Basically, it's like in the future, and again, it's based on a computer game. It's kind of like virtual reality, and he puts this thing on, and this guy who loved the 80s created the Oasis. That's what it's called. And it's basically people live their life through the Oasis, and you have these like avatar, like an avatar of yourself, and you can buy armor and do quests and stuff like that. It's but it's all based around 80s pop culture and stuff like that. And then like a lot of the guy who created it dies, and he's put an Easter egg into the game, and he says whoever finds the Easter egg wins my fortune.
Oh wow!
And it's about the kid who the story's based on finds the first clue, and then it goes on from there. But it's a really good story. If you haven't watched the film, give the film a watch because it's fucking
It's
superb.
actually quite good.
Yeah, it's a really good film. The film's very different to the book in some aspects, but like the actual story itself as a whole is good. Yeah, no pictures either. Yeah. So shocking.
You have to read it to me. Dave, I got a book today, mate.
Go on.
I've actually downloaded a book and started listening to it today because I don't do books the real way. And I recommend it. I've only listened to half an hour of it. It is hilarious. It's Razor Ruddock's book.
Oh, that is
My
good.
Closest Shaves. And it's read by him, or the starters anyway. It's good, really good. It's funny. He's proper laugh out loud. I found myself chuckling away to. He's fucking nuts though.
Yeah, I've listened to him on a couple of podcasts before. And he's a bit like that, isn't he?
He's a nightmare, isn't he? Watching him on that Harry and the Boys.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Is that when who had the argument on there?
Oh, him and Paul Mess, wasn't it? Yeah.
About drinking.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
There's a famous story about Harry Redknapp and Razor Ruddock. That Razor done something, Harry fined him 2 weeks' wages. Razor said, right, that's it, I'm taking you to court because that's unfair. Ended up taking him to court. Razor won, but then he had to pay the court fees, which were worth more than the 2 weeks' wages that he lost.
I remember that one. That was a good
one. You got any recommendations, Joe? I had the Wenger book as well.
I haven't started listening to it yet. I've been podcasting today on the travelling around. So yeah, book wise, I could just put another book off the shelf, but I'm quite looking forward to listening to Wenger's one. I actually downloaded Alan Brazil's book as well.
Do you know I was looking at that? Is it read by him?
Downloaded. Yeah.
Oh fuck, no chance.
And I kind of miss him. I miss him in the mornings.
He's still on there Thursdays, Fridays.
It's not the same though, is it? I love Laura Woods, but
literally just tune into my stream. I paint myself red. He honestly. No harm to this, and I'm sure he genuinely looks like he's gonna pop.
Yeah,
it's all the wine that he drinks, though, isn't it? He's drunk so much alcohol.
He's a proper wino, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's pickled, mate. He's absolutely fine because he's pickled himself.
Yeah,
but he loves it. He just loves the life, doesn't he? And all the stories he's got. He don't tell a bad story.
Oh no.
So I know. Well, this is the bad story. I only I don't know Alan. I've never met Alan Brazil, but a friend of mine who used to work at the Guinness tent in Cheltenham has got some stories about Alan Brazil. That, honest to God,
imagine, yeah.
some of the stuff that. Sorry,
I reckon he'd be class on a night out.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there was one that said that, I don't know if you ever heard it. There's a game called the 5p game where if you got a beer in your hand and somebody puts a 5p in your beer,
down it.
It's God Save the Queen. You got to down it.
Yeah.
Apparently, he went up to the Guinness bar and he had like a tray of 10 fucking pints of Guinness, and he was walking over, and then one of his mates put the 5p into one of the things. So he picked that one up and necked it, and then necked the next one, and necked the next one, and necked the next one, and just went around. And I don't know how many it was. It was very vague, but apparently a lot of pints of Guinness on this tray. Just necked them all.
It's kind of a game that's going to be extinct soon, isn't it? Because who carries around 5p's anymore? Who carries around coins?
I mean, it's
he's
pretty
got some
obvious
neck
when you're about to put it in someone's drink, you're just going to quickly spray it and wipe it and chuck it back. It's a bit obvious, isn't it?
I don't think.
No, apparently dodgy.
This is going to be bad. I've never had a Guinness, you know.
No?
I never tasted a Guinness before. I think I've had a sip, actually.
It's not the be all one end.
I've never had a proper pint of Guinness.
I'm not the biggest fan. I had quite a lot when we went to Dublin for my 21st. That was all we were allowed to drink. We're drinking Guinness or Jameson's.
It's better over there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we went to the Guinness factory, went to the top, and in the 360 bar, and the Guinness there was just tremendous. But I just literally shat black bars the very next day. It was just awful, and you just feel so full. It feels like I've ate fucking curry. Honestly, I just felt like full as a fucking. It was awful.
My dad used to be a big Guinness fan, and then he went to Ireland on a stag do, and then when he came back, he was like, Guinness just tastes shit now, because when you've been to Ireland, the Guinness is so nice. It's like when I went to Amsterdam, I tried Heineken.
Heineken at Dam's well nice.
Heineken Amsterdam is fucking superb, and then when we come back, me and the wife was like, let's get Heineken. Got Heineken, I was like, this is shit.
Yeah.
It's awful.
I was the same as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave was the same in Benidorm, wasn't you, Dan? With San Miguel.
San Miguel.
Though San Miguel is the same though, because if you have San Miguel over here, it's shit. Get off the plane at Malaga, and it's right there. You can smell it.
Oh, it's beautiful. A
euro for a litre bottle.
I think, to be honest, Guinness is different, but like you say with San Miguel, and you say with Heineken, when you're in that area and it's boiling hot, it just is perfect. It's like when I go to Greece and you drink the Mythos that beer. Like I wouldn't ever drink that any other place, but it just fits where you are, and it just tastes tremendous.
Yeah, it's like Mexico and tequila.
2 weeks in Corfu next year, and that fucking better happen. That really better happen.
2 weeks of tofu, more like me, I reckon.
We had
I'll be my brain if I have to stay.
There's a pub not too far from where I am, and I don't think I have ever went in there for a drink until just before lockdown. And my mate was like, "You'll go to this pub at the weekend." I was right. He goes, "You'll never guess the beer they have on tap."
2 carvery dinners and 2 pints.
He goes
16.
He says, "You'll never guess the beer that's on tap there." So I was like listing all these lagers. He's like, "No," and I said, "What is it?" Then he goes, "Red Stripe." He got Red Stripe.
Yeah, no.
So it's like the only beer you can have is there. Like it was all right, but a bit random, innit? It's like Foster's, Budweiser, Heineken, Red Stripe.
I remember back in 2009, because it was the royal wedding weekend, because we got the extended bank holiday, and me and Jay, we went on our first ever abroad holiday together, and we went to Turkey, and we met this couple out there. Keys went in the bowl. That's a different story, but like they lived down in Kent, and we were chatting away, and he was like, "Oh, we were just laughing and joking over like Facebook a couple of weeks after we come back, and he's like, look, I really need a player at the weekend. Do you fancy coming down to play?" And I'm like, yeah, screw it. So me and Jay got in the car. We drove down to Kent, and I went and played football for him. Like we drove down the night before. We stayed in a hotel. We had a couple of beers and stuff. Anyway, as a present, he gave me this fucking beer, this Belgian beer, like 12 crate of Belgian beer. And it was like in a champagne bottle, and it was called Left, right, with 2 Fs, right?
Sounds like Sam Allardyce.
Sorry?
A beer in like a champagne bottle or something.
It's quite a nice bottle, but it's a Belgian beer.
Yeah.
It was quite nice, but like for the age that I was, it probably wasn't the sort of drink for me. So anyway, cut a long story short, we got back, and there was a party a couple of weeks later. I pull all this beer out, and it's like 5.8 or 6.1 or so. And we're popping it, and we're just all drinking it. We all got absolutely spangled on it. It was so strong, but it's just not your usual beer.
Was it Leffe?
Leffe,
Yeah, that's
Leffe.
the
one.
Yeah. It's nice. I've had it since.
It's a white beer, isn't it?
It's a white beer, yeah. You can get them all different. They do different versions of it now, but it was white beer when I had it. Yeah, never had it before, and it was just tremendous.
One of my viewers is from Romania, and he was like, "Oh, what's your address? I want to send you something." So I was like, "Yeah, cool." So he sent me, he sent me like a scarf and everything of his team, and then he sent me like 2 Romanian beers, and it's like it looked like Coke. It was just black. I was like, "That's not a beer."
I thought you meant the white stuff, but okay.
No.
Some of our valeters at work, they used to always be like, "Oh, have some of this." It's like the alcohol they make. It is literally like thinners.
Yeah,
it was just like how do they drink that stuff? Yeah,
it was nice, but after I had one, and I was like, "Oh, geez, I'm gonna stay away for a bit." I think keep it at 1.
When there was a guy we had when we went on an away trip to Sunderland. It was like early doors, like 4 a.m. start because it's a lunchtime kickoff. And like the bloke on the coaches like gets all the beers out. It's like 4 a.m. Everyone's like, "Fucking hell!" Guy in front of me, he's like off, like he's not even off his head. He's like 3 or 4 cans down. I'm like, "What are you drinking?" He was having special brew at 4 a.m. Mate, he was chugging it. I'd never heard of it at that point. I looked. He goes, "Have a sip." I looked at the percentages. I thought, "Fuck that!" Drinking cans of it at 4 a.m.
So for my 18th birthday, the dick drink that my dad and my brother bought me was 2 cans of special brew, 2 bottles of WKD, and 2 shots of tequila, and I just had to neck it.
Oh,
and honest to God, mate, I've never been so ill in my life.
Gonna sleep the rest of the night.
We were in this pub, right, and it was like a local pub, and we knew him very well. Drink responsibly, by the way. We know him very well, and I used to stick up there from when I was like 13, 14, and we go way back. So like when my dad said, "Oh, we're going to bring these in, can we just have a glass?" So they poured these 2 pints of special. I've never drunk it in my life, right? These two pints of special brew, 2 WKDs, and it's quite an old school pub. So like all the ceilings are quite low, and you have to kind of duck to go through the hallway and stuff. Anyway, I neck this. I get to the second tequila shot, and I neck that, and I go,
Oh
no, I'm okay. My dad's like, "Oh, fair play. We're going to play spoof for a pickled egg." And I went, So I went to go outside. And as I went outside, it got to like literally here, right to the back of my throat. So I kind of put a little, because like, it's my local pub. I don't want to puke in the pub. I'm not going into the toilet because I don't know what's going to happen there. So I start legging it to get out. And as I leg it to get out, I forget to duck. I smack and crack. I didn't like bleed or anything, but like the lump cracked my head and just went like this onto the deck, and that was it. Like my dad just dragged me outside, but fucking hell, it hurt. And to this day, well, I say to this day, I haven't been in that pub for about 2 years, but to the day 2 years ago, there's still like a little indent in the beam where I hit my head on that, and how that didn't like KO me completely.
Next time you go, you just gotta put your head against it. It's like, yeah, that's definitely my head.
That's my one. Yeah,
it's like Cinderella's slipper.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was special brew, mate. That makes that memory, for some reason, even though it's gone out of my head, it just comes back so quick.
Going back to your holiday as well, like it's always the best when you meet people on holiday. Normally you never speak to them again. Like the fact that you went and played football. Have you spoke to them since you played football?
Yeah. So they've separated now.
That's the worst.
So listen to this, right? He genuinely. So that was 2009. So he got the first kind of.
How old are you then, dude? Like 18?
No, I was.
2009. It's 11 years ago.
17. I was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was 17. Yeah. But I was 17 when I was in Turkey, and when we flew back, it was like a day after was my birthday, so I just turned 18. So yeah, but they were quite old. I say quite old. They're probably the same age as me now. They're probably 28, 30. But like to me, like they're quite old to me, and they were super cool. And we got chatting because we were playing water polo together, and then it's like, the missus, should we should we go out and have a couple of drinks and stuff and all this? And it was like there was like some sort of football game on, maybe a Champions League quarters or something. And we went over to the English bar and all this, but they were really cool. Apart from the fact that when we went down to meet him, they had a Scirocco, and he had like the first Scirocco that was when they reproduced them. So like that's where my kind of like for Siroccos come. So now even like now, like Jay, when we went to look at it, she's like, it's just like Phil's. And Phil, like, I haven't spoken to Phil in ages. Phil, if you're listening, mate, reach out, bud.
Thanks for that, Phil.
But do you know the weirdest thing is like I've got another. Joe, you'll like this one, man, and we'll talk about this off pod a bit more. But I don't know if it's me or whether it's Jay, but like whether we've just got the faces that people just want to talk to, or whether I just have a couple of drinks and I'm like, yeah, come over, it's free alcohol, come on, let's get some beers or so. We went on a real last minute holiday to Tenerife. I can't even remember now, 6-7 years ago, and it was fucking awful. It cost me 250 quid for me, 250 quid for Jay.
That's
we flew
right,
out.
Awful.
It was literally like I think she booked the week off, and I had like 6 days off. So we just went into like the what do you call estate agents? No one uses
travel agents. Yeah.
Travel agents. I knew it was an agent of some sort. So we went to the travel agent, and we said like, look, where can we go? We just want some sun. And like, if you want guaranteed sun, Tenerife's quality. I was like, okay, just sweet. Anyway, I don't give a fuck. Here you go. It was a hotel called Hotel Tropicana. It's now closed. So you can tell how, like, not because of the COVID, but just because it's terrible. Anyway, so I start chatting to this guy, and we're sat in the pool, and it's got a pool bar. So it wasn't that bad. And he was like, look, there's fuck all to do it. They didn't do any, like, entertainment, or there's no entertainment tonight. He's like, I just want to get spangled today. Do you want to come? Do you want to have a chat? Like, sweet. So we just literally worked our way down. He would pick a mixer, I'd pick a spirit. He would pick a spirit, I'd pick a mixer. And we're just doing this all day, right? And then he had 2 little kids, and we didn't have kids at the time. And they had the little rubber rings. I was still quite a big guy then, and he said to me, I bet you 100 quid you can't dive and go through the rubber ring. Well, I was very drunk, but I was like, do you know what? I'll give that a go. So I stood on the edge of the pool, I dived in, and I went straight through this rubber ring. Honest to God, like the rubber ring was like this ball. I'm going to find you this picture, and you can put it up on the podcast. It's amazing. So I went through one rubber ring, and like everyone around the pool was like, what the fuck? There's no way you can do that again. I said, no, we'll do better. So I put 2 on top, and I went straight through. And then I think it was 4 or 5 rubber rings, literally stuck like this. I went through and I got stuck. So my arms and my head are underwater, my legs are just doing this. But the little kid whose rubber rings they were, he's big into his motorbikes, Joe. And he actually goes and races on the little bikes. And I think he's just now been promoted up. He's like broke arms, legs and stuff. But like he's sponsored by, I think it's not WKD, WD-40. I think he's sponsored by.
What a random
Sorry, my head is so spangled at the moment. So I think it's WD-40 that he's sponsored by. I'll send you some pictures, man. It's class. I think I speak to them quite a lot because thinking that he might get somewhere, and I might want to use them in the future. Yeah. But they just seem to pop babies out left, right, and centre. I think they got 7 kids now.
Fucking hell.
So they mustn't have a TV.
I expect when we went to Mexico for our honeymoon, and then like we met this couple, and they were absolutely lovely. And then we went Mexico for our anniversary the next year. But because we liked that last couple so much, any like couples who were speaking to us, we were like, yeah, right, and then we're like, not as good not as good as, and we just were like really antisocial just for that. And now I feel really bad because they broke up as well, and it's that hurt me when they broke up. I felt like I was involved in that relationship.
Well, shouldn't have shagged her.
That's the reason why they broke up.
No, I don't know. I genuinely, I am one of those people that, like, if it's just me and Jay, it's a bit different now. We got the kids because the kids do it now. Yeah. So like they'll come out of like this is parenting 101. We're in Cyprus. Jay was, that was the July. She gave birth in the August 2 years, a year and a bit ago. So it was a month before she was due. It was piping hot, so it was too hot for Oscar to be out anywhere. So we sent him to the daycare centre where they do all the kids stuff, and he met this lovely little girl called I can't remember something. It was a weird, wacky name, bit hippie, but and that was it. So every night they would kind of the 2 kids would get together and they would start chatting and playing with their toys, and you kind of have to start talking to the parents and stuff. They were rough as fuck, and literally to the fact that it was an all-inclusive hotel, okay, and she is then. This woman was dolled up to the nines with the old big. What's her name from EastEnders? The Bianca. The old Bianca earrings, the old hoops, right? So, I mean, that's a telltale sign. And she opens her bag up and she's got this little bottle of vodka. I'm like, it's fucking free. Like, what the hell are you doing? And then she frowned at me because I bought I upgraded to a nicer vodka. She frowned at me for that. She didn't like me for that. But, like, afterwards, Oscar was like chatting to Jay and to my wife, and he's like, well, when can we go see him? When can we go see him? And I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I don't think they came back from Cyprus. He goes, well, we're going to have to go back to Cyprus, aren't we? It's like, no, we're not. But now Mick McCarthy's out there, Dave. I think we are.
We'll have to go and have a trip, mate. Meet Big Mick.
Yeah, I am terrible for it. Just chatting away when I get on holiday. Get the beers flowing, and that's it.
I don't think we've... I went to Turkey earlier this year, and we met, like... there was a woman and her two girls that were similar age to me and Lib, and we spoke to them. We had a group chat with them on Instagram. I was talking to them for ages, didn't speak for ages, and then Lib was like, oh, look who's come up on my TikTok, and the one girl had come up on the trending page, and we had
how'd you all get on your GCSEs?
Brilliant. Anyway.
It is a small world, though, isn't it, when stuff like that randomly happens?
Well, they're from Derby, which isn't too far from me. And then, like, there was like in Turkey, like every other person like we were walking past wasn't speaking English. We're the only two English people here. And all of a sudden, I meet this guy from Leeds, and who's the centre back they tried to sign that's at Brighton now? You know what I mean, though, innit? The one they had on loan last year, and he stayed at Brighton now.
Ben White.
White.
So
Ben
every
White.
time
I'd wait, Ben me. I don't know why.
I had my breakfast and go out to the pool, and he always grabs these beds right by the pool. You have to walk past him, and he clocks you. And because he knows you're English, he goes, "Yeah, but I've been looking at all these Ben White rumours this morning again," and I'm there like,
"Is he Welsh?"
I knew you was going to say that.
Why was Clan on holiday?
Yeah, but like he was as if I was like, a big Leeds fan as well. He's like, look at this, like showing me all these graphics of your Dars made on the Leeds Facebook page and stuff like that.
Better than talking walls, though, Dave. Do you know though? It's funny because we went to. This is the last one, I promise. We went to Greece a couple of years back. Again, before we had kids, and we met there was like a group of people, and we kind of got like semi included in this group. And there was like 6 or 7 different couples all dotted around the UK. And the ones we liked were like, oh, they're in fucking Sheffield and they're in Edinburgh. And the ones we didn't like, oh, yeah, we live in Reading. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're miles from Reading, mate. Miles from Reading. just
Have you ever met anyone on holiday that literally lives like 5 minutes away?
No.
We had that before.
Definitely not from down here.
Yes, kind of. We were on our honeymoon in Dominican Republic. Right, this is making everybody jealous now because we can't travel anywhere. So let's just talk holiday things, right?
I was going to say, this is...
Me and Jay were in Dominican Republic. I don't know if anyone's been to Dominican, but you don't ever really leave the hotel complex. The complexes are huge, but like it's really quite ropey. We went on a safari trip, which it takes you through all like the forest and takes you up by Haiti, because it borders Haiti. And you stop at like a load of different areas, and we stopped at this one, which was a cigar making factory. So we went and bought some cigars from the locals. Anyway, I'm stood on the outside with Jane, and I'm puffing on the cigar, and she's drinking this like hot chocolate that they made her. And I just hear my name get shouted, and I'm like, what the we are in the middle of nowhere, and it's a guy that I used to go swimming with when we were kids.
Nah.
And they were on like the other safari. They had just stopped as we were just about to board to go. I'm like, what are the chances of that? We weren't staying at a hotel or anything like that. But literally, at a moment that probably now he works back at the Leisure Centre and teaches my boy how to swim. And he probably lives 5 minutes from me now. And we were the other side of the world on the same time, on the same trip, at the same time. And he literally just shouted my name, and I'm like, oh, fuck off. Come on. You just can't get away from people, right?
Oh, yeah.
You probably booked with the same estate agent.
Yeah, to be fair, they're popular down here, right?
We had we went on a cruise probably about 10 years ago, and we walked on the ship, and as you walk, like, there's the main, what they call like the promenade, you walk past a wine bar, look, and it's my year 6 teacher there, with one of the other teachers, like in the middle of, like, on a cruise ship. I was like, what the fuck? So is there like, having a conversation.
Did you know that they were together?
Yeah. Well, no, it was 2 women. And the one was married, and then a story came out that
Steady Dave, allegedly.
Yeah. So
Dave leaked
We
it.
got the budget.
Really awkward,
We got
like-
the budget like we got the 5-star.
we stood in the lift like a week into the holiday. The lift door opens. Your year 6 teacher just walks in. He's like, "What the fuck's going on here?" It's like proper weird. Yeah.
Just David, where's that homework I sent you last week?
3 years ago.
Well, you are.
My
year
dog
six.
ate it.
Yeah.
Liv says, no, I didn't.
But yeah, that's like the small world. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but me and Luke have had a very similar situation recently.
Yeah, that is weird.
That we kind of semi know each other outside of the content creation world. We've had conversations via email and via. I think we've had a bit on like Skype calls together. That like literally when we kind of found that out, it's just like this world is so small. It's crazy.
Mad.
It's mad.
Yeah,
so we're both strippers for Magic Mike, if you wanted to know. The UK version of Magic Mike is called Magic Dave.
We spoke so much about holidays. We normally ask favourite sort of TV shows, if what you watch on Netflix and so on, Luke, as well.
So I'm a big Friends fan.
Yeah.
Gotta love some Friends. We're literally watching it just before we came on.
Friends is the greatest. I don't care what
easily.
anyone says.
My sister was watching that
easily.
earlier. I actually said to her, "Is this worth watching?" Because I've never watched Friends as well.
Mate,
It's brilliant.
David,
It's brilliant.
it's 238 episodes. Just sit down and watch them all.
Yeah, it is good. But I like those kind of things. US Office is another
Yeah,
one.
good
Big
one.
fan of US Office. Big Bang Theory. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Modern Family as well.
There's
Anyone
two
big
reasons
Modern
why I
Family?
like Big Bang Theory.
Haley Cuoco.
Yeah.
Two big reasons, yeah.
Blonde.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then like the more serious stuff, like the Game of Thrones, things like that. Walking Dead up until a certain point. And yeah, things like that. I like my series. Don't get me wrong, I really do. There's a few on Netflix that like I don't remember off the top of my head, but every time someone mentions, I'm like, oh, I love that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those things really. But yeah, Friends and US Office are probably the two favourites for me.
Do you know, mate? Friends and US Office is class.
Yeah.
Like the joys of Friends is it's just everywhere, right?
Yeah,
so you can just turn it on, and within about 4 seconds of seeing an episode, I know which episode it is.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
it's
you know what's going to
so
happen.
nerdy, yeah. It's
yeah.
just easy to watch.
Ones that hasn't been mentioned on the series so far. I've watched Narcos. Is a good one.
So I haven't seen that.
Like a couple of
watched the
series.
first season. That was good.
Yeah, like a couple of series, you do have to concentrate because like half of it's in English, half of it's sort of like in Colombian.
That's the reason why I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I am really ignorant when it comes to subtitles. Like, if a film starts putting subtitles in, I'll switch off because I get distracted. Like, I can't be bothered to look down, and then like I'm like, oh, what just happened then? Like,
See, this is
I
going to
hate
shock
that.
you all with my reputation on not being able to read. I genuinely watch all of my shows with subtitles.
Some people, my
Really?
sister and
Just-
brothers
yeah.
do
Is
that.
that, is that a dad thing though? Is that a dad thing? Because
No.
we watch a lot of stuff with subtitles.
So
So the volume's so low.
I can't do it. I normally
I'll
hate
be
it.
honest with you now. I'll be open and honest. So, for those that we do joke and laugh about it, but I do actually have pretty severe dyslexia, and I'm just a bit fake.
yeah, I'm the same.
So, as a kid, I used to watch it with subtitles because I always used to think that it's helping me from seeing the words, and I'll be able to kind of maybe help me spell them and kind of improve my English. Turns out didn't fucking work. But yeah, that's kind of why I did it, and now it's just habit that I watch a TV program and I'm like, the first thing I do, I hit play, and then I hit pause, put the subtitles on, and then I watch it.
I don't think I could
Unless
ever
I'm with
watch
Jay,
something
and
with
Jay
you.
will just beat me up. She hates it.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I wouldn't be able to watch anything with you. If someone put subtitles on, I wouldn't be able to watch it.
I'll have to wait till you fall asleep then, mate.
Yeah.
And podcasts.
Then he's Netflix and chilling.
Yeah, Netflix and chill. Podcasts.
Dave,
Luke?
can I just quickly say
Go on,
that
sorry,
I
sorry,
am
sorry.
literally tonight
Go on.
going to finish The Last Dance. I've got one episode left. I went back last night. I think me
You
and
have-
Joe, we left the call at
wow.
12:30. I think last night, roughly about
No
12:30. I went and watched 3 episodes. Went to bed at 3:30 this morning. Had to wake up at 6 o'clock, and I'm in great mood now. Thanks to Monster if you want to sponsor. That rhymed. But yeah, I'm gonna go watch it literally after this or after we finish tonight, and then that's me done.
It is brilliant.
Yeah, I think I was the last person in the world to start watching it.
No,
Yeah,
I've
I
not
think
watched
so.
it. So there you go.
It is. I mean, I love basketball.
Yeah, me too.
More so since I come back from. I say love. That's probably. I like basketball. Is probably a better way of putting it. When I was in New York at the start of the lockdown or before the lockdown, I started really getting involved in watching it because of the jet lag. I used to wake up at like 2 in the morning over there, because I'm so used to being up for work, and I just have my Service Pro playing Football Manager whilst watching the highlights and the reruns of basketball. Really got into it, and then it just all locked down. So I started watching it again. So to watch something it's quite basketball orientated, I thought I'd struggle because I didn't know it much about it, but it turns out you don't need to. It's more that's just the backline story.
Yeah,
a bit like High School Musical, Dave.
It's a lot of entertainment. Like, I struggled getting back to watch football when it returned because I was watching so much basketball. And basketball was like non-stop entertainment, whereas
really
like you can have a 0-0 in football and it would be so fucking boring.
It's a bit like me. When I was in New York, I watched ice hockey.
Yeah.
And ever since, I was well into the ice hockey, and that is just like, if you can't really take your eyes off the ice hockey because you lose with a puck.
Miss a puck, yeah.
So you kind of really have to concentrate watching it, and it is a good watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
And then finally, Luke, podcasts. You a big podcast listener? Obviously, you said you did one yourself as well a few years ago.
Yeah. So don't worry, guys. I listen to the 5-Star Pod.
Sure. Okay, there's your fee gone.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of the wrestling podcasts, to be honest, mainly because I like hearing the stories. So the Bruce Pritchard one, because he was Vince McMahon's like right-hand man, he knows like everything. So I've listened to that for years and years. But other than that, the other one that I kind of listen to with the wife is Chris Ramsey's. I don't know if anyone's ever listened to Chris Ramsey's.
His
wife.
a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah, it's really entertaining, to be honest. Like, a lot of fun. And whenever we go on like long journeys somewhere, we'll pop that on because you can go through episodes so quickly, and I feel like it makes the journey quicker because it is a comedy podcast at the end of the day, and because like I'm listening to it with my wife, and it's a husband and wife talking, and they've just had a kid as well. Well, they had a kid a few years ago. It's very relatable, I think, and everything that they say, we're kind of looking at each other like, "Yep, you do that." Especially because they do the kind of thing like their gripes of the week kind of thing. So the thing that pissed them off, what the other person pissed them off for, they'll bring it up. So like, "Oh, you did this the other day. That really pissed me off." They'll bring all that up, and if you listen to every single episode, the amount of times you go, "You do that," or "Yep, you do that." So it's kind of nice to listen to that, especially with like my partner. That's another podcast I like listening to.
Perfect, man.
I've done a Joe actually. Joe mentioned it yesterday or the day before. Took the dog for a walk yesterday, and started listening to the Football Manager Therapy. Tony Jones had
on this morning as well.
I'm on. So I was listening to the most recent one, but I kind of jumped straight back to the first. Really good. Really good. Obviously, we know our Football Manager podcast, and I would say that's very good. Go check it out.
Yeah. Started listening to the first one. I realised it was an hour and a half long. I was like, oh my god. So
there is a mention of the 5-Star Pod in that one. By the way,
keep listening then.
I think they might mention you actually, Dave.
I don't know if you're winding me up now.
Yeah, I am winding you up. Because of course you're going to pick
Curry and Herb.
It's Curry and Herb,
yeah. Well, Luke, it's been fantastic, man. Really enjoyable episode today. If people wish to find you on the socials, where can they find you?
So you can.
Sorry.
You definitely can't find me there anymore. You can find me on Twitter at OmegaLuke, YouTube OmegaLuke Gaming, and same as Twitch OmegaLuke Gaming. But yeah, thank you very much for having me on, guys. That was nice.
Perfect.
Nice to just have a chat in the end. It just felt like we weren't even recording at one point. So yeah, it was nice.
It's funny that because I actually don't think I have.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
But yeah, guys, if you did enjoy it today, be sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the WeStream FM channel as well. Of course, we're going to be continuing these daily lockdown podcasts. If you've got any suggestions for guests as well, maybe people that we haven't had on so far, let us know in the comment section down below. Or if you've got any questions for future podcasts, as always, the links for each of us is in the description down below, alongside the links to all the professionals. If you are struggling mentally, you want someone to talk to, and maybe you don't really want to reach out to us guys, there are links to the professionals in there, and of course the email for WeStreamFM, which is in info@WeStreamFM.com. But until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Keep safe, and from us, it's goodbye. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye everyone.
Goodbye.